When Governor Brown is away from the state of California campaigning for president, as he, of course, has been frequently lately, the man who is really responsible for minding the store, so to speak, is Lieutenant Governor Mike Curb. Now, because Curb is from a different political party, Jerry Brown hands the reins over to a man named Gray Davis. It's that basically little-known man, but very powerful man who has been talking with reporter Wayne Satz this week, and we're getting to meet him. Wayne.
Christine, the man that the governor chooses as his stand-in was never elected to that position. He was appointed to it by a governor who likes the way Gray Davis thinks. And when the governor is away, among the things Davis has to attend to is the very delicate relationship with the man who was elected and who's supposed to be acting governor in Brown's absence, Mike Curb. We get into that tonight.
I could be making a hell of a lot more money practicing law, and yet I wouldn't trade this job for all the money in the world.
The job is called Chief of Staff, and what it means is that this is the right-hand man to Jerry Brown.
The job I have puts me right at the core of things. Now, you may not know it all the time. The decisions that I get to be a part of may go the way I want, they may not. You may not know that, but I know that.
Actually, we hear his thinking more and more, because as the governor's chief of staff, he is out front and in charge in a way that, by contrast, the president's chief of staff never is. Because unlike Hamilton Jordan, Davis's boss goes away a lot and leaves him in charge. And like Jordan, he's in the same fishbowl as his boss.
Given the Ham-Jordan affair, is it fair to ask you if you've ever snorted coke or smoked dope?
Yeah, I suppose it's fair to ask me, and the answer is that those matters are private concerns. But I think that there's no special prosecutor investigating me, and I think I'd be hard-pressed to do so.
There were times for Davis last spring when Brown's absence from the state would likely mean that there'd be a squabble over power with Lieutenant Governor Mike Curb. But Davis gives Curb credit for resisting real pressure to flex his muscles when Brown's away.
And it's real pressure. There are the partisans in the Republican Party that say, show that Jerry Brown, stick it to him. That's why we elected you lieutenant governor. There are those that play in his ego and say, well, I thought you were the governor when Jerry's away. How come you won't do this? Aren't you really the governor? They use all kinds of devices on the man, and I think he's shown remarkable restraint.
And even if he didn't show restraint, acting Governor Davis says acting Governor Curb can't really do much.
He is not plugged into the information flow. He's kind of over on the side of the organizational chart. I have reporting through me a couple 100,000 people with expertise, with continuity, and it's very hard for him, if Jerry's out of the state for 2 days, to pop right in, look at the budget, change that, change our transportation policy, change our environmental policies. It's like an understudy coming on stage and reading a different script. It just, it doesn't make it. So he learned early on that the only real power he has, unless he pursues the avenue of cooperation, which he is to confront, to embarrass, to obstruct. And he doesn't like that role. He doesn't think that role does much for the principles he believes in, and he doesn't think he does anything at all for his own personal ambition.
Is there an explicit deal that you have, but you're just not saying? You guys have shook hands.
It's a day-to-day adventure. That's what it is.
Adventure.
I'm pleased with the way it's worked out, and I'm particularly pleased because I know the press wants us to fight. Yeah. I know a lot of our partisans in our respective parties want us to fight, but I don't think fighting does anything but further discredit all politicians.
So what is Curb's incentive for now being low-key when Brown's away? What Davis says between the lines is that Curb is restrained in part because it ensures that the governor's office will be heard to publicly praise his responsibility and restraint. Jerry.
Okay, thanks. Next up, Dr. George takes another long look at the weather. He'll tell us all about that when we come back.